I'm live. Live. Doesn't get any liver than this. Come on in, guys. Join in the fun. And I figured, I'd do a live stream right now. I was down in the nursery, out in the garden all day long, doing stuff. And then I did a little bit of talking on my two-way radio. I just got off the radio with a guy from Pennsylvania. And the guy in Pennsylvania asked me if we had our fireplace going up here. And I said, nah, it's 71.5 degrees Fahrenheit. No fireplace is going here. Low temperature's only been about 55 or 56 degrees Fahrenheit so far. It's very mild in the mornings here. So far, so good. Knock on wood. Hopefully the nice balmy, palmy weather continues here on the Gulf Islands. Anyway, if you're out there, join in and leave your comments. I will be hanging around here for a bit, maybe until Wendy gets home. She's at her friend's place doing art, and her friend's leaving for Sedona, Arizona soon. Her friend goes to Sedona, Arizona for 6 months every year. So she visits her friend every week and does art. She goes there, her friend comes here. And Wendy, I know, has been contacting our friend on Maui that owns 3 condos. So looks like Wendy is planning a trip for the near future. I don't know if it'll be this year. It'll probably be 2023, but Wendy is itching to go back to Maui now that things have opened up and we have a bit of our freedom back again, which is nice. Okay, guys, I will hang out here, like I say, for a bit, and feel free to join in the live stream. It's a good day for live streaming. I'm going to go grab a little snack, maybe. I see one watcher in there. And Wendy, this morning, she put more lights on the palm trees. She likes to light up the palm trees. She's got these. She goes, "Oh, Joe, I found another strand of LED lights." So she put lights on one of the other palm trees just outside the kitchen window there. That one we have to put more lights on because the trunk has grown so much. There's not enough lights on it now. So, but the lights look good on the palms year round. The LED lights that use very low energy and they don't give off any heat, which is nice. They just look nice. It's all show. And I would say go. All show, no go. If you're trying to heat a palm tree and keep it warm in the wintertime with LED lights, it ain't going to work very well. Hang on. I'm going to go. I'll be right back. Bad news, these suckers, but that's life. Okay, I'm back. And if anybody's out there, pop in. Maybe you guys are at work. It is currently 4:24 p.m. here, 71.5 degrees Fahrenheit on Salt Spring Island. Yahoo. You want a treat? Where are you? Hey, okay. I hope you guys are having good weather where you are at. It's here. This is what it looks like here. I actually have the patio umbrella up just to stop the sun from blasting on me here. But Man, it's funny. It's just about, it's hard to believe. It's just about October. 2 more days. What is the 29th today? What does it say on the computer? 29th. Hey, Scorpion Man, no clouds here. Yeah, no clouds here. I was talking to South Carolina on my radio last night. You can watch my other YouTube channel and see my video gates where I talk daily on my two-way radio. I talk to South Carolina a lot. And the one guy there in South Carolina, he was on the coast. He says they're expecting that hurricane to hit around Friday in South Carolina. I just talked to my buddy in Georgia and Alabama, but they're inland, so I don't think they don't have to worry about that hurricane. But on the coast, maybe they'll get traces of it, right? Anyway, yeah, so here it's looking like this. We got blue sky and sunshine. And I should show you the palm tree that Wendy did this morning. You can see the video on her channel. Go to Gulf Island Rock. I shot a video of her putting Christmas lights around that one right there. She had some LED lights hanging around. So that one's got LED lights on it. That big one up there, the lights used to go to the top, but it's grown so much, we actually have to put more lights on it. So they look nice. I love the lights on the palm trees. Like I say, year round. You don't have to have them just for Christmas. They're very nice. They make the palm tree look that much better. Palm trees with lighting, right? Anyway, yeah, I'm just loving this weather. It is absolutely perfect. The one is done has gone crazy growing. The one is my dome has gone crazy. Has it gone crazy? Cool. Right on. So it loves it. It's a happy palm tree. Right on. I was down in the nursery today transplanting Trachycarpus palms. I got a lot. I got, thousands of them in liner sized pots. And man, they're like the roots, and they're outside in outdoor cold frames. I only put the cold frames on in the wintertime, the Lexan, but they're open right now. And they're rooted into the ground. They're like really root bound in these 2.5-inch liner sized pots. And when I went to pull them out of the pot, they were rooted into the ground. So I put them into 1-gallon pots. And the wood chips we had done, we had a bunch of eucalyptus trees cut down and some fir trees cut February 12th, 2021. So that pile of wood chips is actually composted almost like dirt-like. And I got a tarp over top of it, and it got so hot. So I'm using that with no soil to pot those palms in. And I think they're going to be happy. I'm going to hit them with some 18 slow release fertilizer as well. But the palms in the nursery are extremely happy. Like I say, most of the pots we have in the nursery are rooted into the ground, which gives them that little extra boost, helping hand, sucking up more moisture and making them more cold hardy. I sent some photos to your email. Okay, I'll have to check. I'll have to check my email. I've neglected it the last couple of days. How big are the sable doriensis? Oh, they're just small. We have just small ones, and they're little guys like this. They're just seedlings. They're not very big, but we have a lot of them. We have, I'm going to say, maybe 4 or 5 flats of them. 32 per flat. I did sell a bunch of them too, but we have quite a few of them. So, and they're all potted up, and a lot of them I do put 2 per pot, right? So, if there's 32 per flat pots, there's usually 64 palms. Times that by about 4 or 5 flats, right? So there's quite a few. We do have some in the ground too, and they're just small, but they're hardy. They went right through the winter time, not a problem at all, because we had that cold snap in December. So they have proven their hardiness. The ones I got off you barely have new frond. They grow slow, but they should grow faster where you are in South Carolina. They are slower this far north, I can tell you that. Where you are, they would love your high heat and humidity. Right now, this is okay. I mean, like I say, it's just about 72 degrees out here, but sables like it even hotter than that. To put on sufficient growth, man, they'd like it in the 80s every day. If you got 90s, hey, they're happy. Oh, I thought you were in. Okay, sorry, I was confusing you with somebody else. There's another guy in South Carolina with a similar type name as yours, but I call him Scorpion Man, but it starts with an A. I said I can't pronounce it, so I call him Scorpion Man. Oh yeah, okay, you're on Vancouver Island. Yeah, they're slow this far north. Extremely cold hardy, but very, very slow. Just like Sable Minor. Any of the sable palms are slow up here. The nicest one I've seen, and it's still slow, is the one growing at Grace Point in town. It's been there for 1997, planted, so it's going on 26 years now in the ground. 2012 2023 will be 26 years, and it's never been damaged, right? I'm on Vancouver Island North. So you're northern Vancouver Island. Okay. So what town are you in, may I ask? Yeah, they were fine in the greenhouse. Yeah, they're totally hardy. All of our palms in the greenhouse are totally fine. Even the Rhopilostylus apida, the shaving brush palm. Oh, Port McNeill. Oh, I know where that is for sure. Yeah, I remember you. I've been by Port McNeill many times, but actually on a cruise ship. And I think on the other side you have Sointula Island, right? Sointula Island is on the opposite side. Yeah, I have them outside. I have Sable brazoriensis in the ground, and they're fine. Never protected them at all. All of our hardier palms did really good here. Like I say, which surprised me was the Jubea chilensis croaked, and it wasn't that big, but I grew it from seed, which kind of sucked. And Butia lost its spear. I moved it. I kicked it out, and I put it over into another bed. It's all the fronds look good, but the center spear went. And Parajubea went. I expected that, that's for sure. Which surprised me more was the Canariensis, the Phoenix Canariensis, surviving with a bucket on top of it. I thought that one would be toast, crispy, dead when I lifted the bucket off. And lo and behold, the thing is green, and it's actually pushed out spears, and it's totally fine, right? So I'm going to do the same thing to it this year. I'm just going to throw the bucket over top of it, and if it survives, it survives. We have a much bigger Phoenix Canariensis in pots that I grew from seed. They're in 15-gallon pots down on one of our accommodation decks, and they're looking amazing. They got nice trunks on them and beautiful fronds. I didn't think windmill palms grew well here, but saw a couple of really big ones. Oh, cool. That's awesome. So there are some windmill palms in Port McNeill. That's good to know. I often wondered that. I'm pretty sure when our cruise ship went past Sointula Island, I saw some Cordylines on Sointula Island. I'm sure I did see them. The last time I was past Sointula in Port McNeill was August 2012 on the way to Alaska. And then, of course, we came back again. But I always thought that palms would grow in Port McNeill. And I think they will grow in Haida Gwaii too. Cordylines are fine here. You should try some. Yeah, that's cool. So your winters aren't that cold. And, near the water, I don't know, maybe you don't get that much snow in Port McNeill. Port McNeill is right on the inner Vancouver Island, inner coast. And you're right by the water, so you probably are regulated by the ocean. And I bet you in Port Hardy, there's probably windmill palms too. Huh? What do you think? I have spotted them in Campbell River. I know that. It doesn't get as cold as mid-island. Okay, interesting. Okay. And barely any snow. Wow. That's like Texada Island. When I was up in Texada Island, palm trees everywhere. And you guys are way north of Texada Island. There is palm trees everywhere. And Texada Island's far north of here. And up on Savory Island, too, there's a lot of palm trees. But that is very cool. So not a lot of snow, not a lot of cold. I know there's lots of big palm trees in Comox, Courtney. I got videos of them. I've seen them in Campbell River, a few. I haven't seen any on Texada Island, but I know there's got to be some on Texada Island. I'll look around next time I'm up there. I've been to Texada Island maybe 3 or 4 times. I've stayed there once for 2 or 3 days with Wendy years ago, about 10 years ago. And I looked around for palm trees. Didn't see any, but I'm sure they're there. It only really snows when it warms up. If it's cold. Oh, yeah, like here too, right? So we get the snow when it's cold and clear and it starts to warm up, then we get dumped on. But last year, maybe it was a different story. It was late December, and it was cold, and we did have snow. And the snow was actually kind of powdery, which is a good thing. But then it got wet and heavy when it came towards the end of that freeze, and things warmed up. And I don't know what your low temperature was last year, but the lowest temperature I recorded on our property was -8 degrees Celsius. I had -6.6 degrees Celsius in the upper screen, in the Stevenson screen, which is 200 feet away from the lower screen. And of course, cold air is like water. So it's always going to be colder down here than up here because that cold air just kind of flows down. But it was -8 down there. And that's what nuked the Jubea. That's what nuked the Parajubea. That's what nuked the Brahia Armada down there. And the Brahia Armada up there is absolutely flawless. -10ish, not bad. You're still milder than Vancouver. I think Vancouver got to like -13.5 degrees Celsius or so. Max I've ever seen. Minus 15. Okay, that's the record low for Salt Spring Island. 5 degrees Fahrenheit above, which happened many moons ago, back in the 1960s. December 28th, 1968. I used to be way more into weather, writing it down every day. But since I've been retired for just about a year, I could care less. I just know I wake up and I don't have to work in any crappy weather. Before, I had to work in crappy weather. Now, if it's crappy, if it's pouring down with rain, I'm not going out in it, man. Right? That was the worst thing when you wake up in the morning, you got to go to work and you're working outside as a gardener for the Parks Department in pouring rain all day. It did suck. As much as I love my job, working in cold, wet rain in the winter sucks. Right? So, but it's better than snow. I used to say that when I'd be working out in the rain, doing gardening, pruning, or whatever. I'd say, no, it could be worse. Could be a lot worse. Could be Alberta, right? Could be Ontario where they're getting deep snow and cold. But here, it's never that bad. I can work in my sweatshirt underneath my rain clothes. Minus 15, yep. So you should shoot some videos of some of those trackies in Port McNeil. That's kind of cool. Joe, would you ever consider Grella planting palms in Tofino? I have tons, hundreds. I've planted so many seeds. I do it with seed. I've scattered hundreds and hundreds of palm seeds in Tofino. Every time I go somewhere, I bring palm seeds with me on the West Coast. So when I go to Port Renfrew, which I'll be there in another couple of weeks or so, I'll be back in Port Renfrew. I will bring some palm seeds with me. And when I walk through the trails, I scatter them around. Where we stayed at our resort in Tofino, I scattered so many seeds around. I brought big bags of Trachycarpus seed with me. And when I go for a walk with Wendy, I throw them all over the place in the gardens. There was some palms at the resort where we stayed at the Best Western on the ocean, but they were small ones. I mean, it was kind of a joke. They should have had bigger ones planted. Can I plant a bunch of CIDP and Washingtonias? I think Washingtonia would be pretty useless over there. CIDP, no, I'm not going to plant those because it's just too much money and I don't have the seed. I have my own CIDP here. I'll stick with trackies because they're long term. I do have a friend that grows CIDP over there. Brian, my buddy Brian has a CIDP with a trunk on it, probably about this big, and it's right in his front yard. But I haven't been there since the freeze. Apparently, everything did good in Tofino. I think Washingtonia would be good for short term. He does have a Brahia edulis in his garden, and it does well. I don't go to Tofino that much. It's too far from here. It's 255 kilometers northwest of here. Yeah. Video of it. Yeah, his property's cool. It's far from here. Tofino is very far from the southern Gulf Islands. It's 49 degrees north latitude, 255 kilometers northwest of Salt Spring Island, right? So we go to Port Renfrew now, which is straight across. We get off the ferry at Vesuvius to Crofton on Vancouver Island, and 1 hour and 30 minutes, we can be in Port Renfrew on the west coast of Vancouver Island, looking across at Nia Bay on the northwestern point of Washington State. I stand on the shoreline in Port Renfrew, and I'm looking at Nia Bay, the northwestern corner of Washington State. Need to bring you some of those swamp. Oh, yeah, the Cypress. Right. That would be cool. Well, when you're down here, come back in Salt Spring in the spring, and then I'll give you some trackies. I'll trade you some of my trackies for them, some seedlings. We'll pull some seedlings out of the flat for you. That'd be cool to try that for sure. CIDPs are very cheap, and they're even self-seeding here. Yeah, they're not cheap up here. They're expensive. They're expensive to buy. I mean, all the nurseries sell them, but they're still costly. I've grown lots from seed. I've experimented with lots over the years. Over the past 4 decades, I've experimented with lots of different hardy palms. CIDP, they're short-term here. 10 years, I've seen them last and then get killed. The biggest one I have is 3 feet tall, already like 6. Oh, cool. Nice. That's awesome. I'd love to try one. Our swamp cypress looks really good. I'll show you. If you can see, I don't know, the sun might be too much into the screen, into the camera here. Yeah, you can't see. It's too dark. You can't see. It's just too far, but there's a big swamp cypress growing way in the back 40 there. Too bad. Sun's right in the screen. That's the way she goes, folks. I'll take the sun over the rain. As much as we do need rain, it has been very dry here. Crazy fast growth is good. So you know the Trachycarpus down there that was growing between the big eucalyptus tree and the western red cedar. Wendy had those trees cut down on February 12th, 2021. So now the Trachycarpus palm has zero root competition. It sat there for 30 years, did nothing, grew slow, grew a few fronds a year. Now it has grown up to 24 inches of trunk this season, 2 feet of trunk in that palm tree. My friends gave me that palm tree in the late 1980s. I think it was 89, somewhere around there. And anyway, I had that thing at my last place, and then I brought it here and I put it in the ground, and it's just zooming along. Best thing she ever did was cut that eucalyptus tree down and the cedar. 12 Canadian dollars. Wow, yeah, they're cheap. Yeah, you're not going to get them here that cheap. Everything's very expensive here. You got to remember, even our gas is over $10 a gallon. Gas here, I went by the gas station today, and it's $2.14 a liter for cheap gas. So this is a very expensive place in Canada because we're on an island and everything costs more here. So if you go to a nursery to buy a CIDP that big, 3 foot, I'm going to say it's really going to cost you about $75. Jane, how's it going? Hey, Wendy's planning a trip to Hawaii. She is planning a trip to Hawaii. I keep saying to Wendy, let's go to Waikiki. I'd really like to visit Jane. I was thinking of you yesterday, Jane. How is my friend Jane doing? I talked to, on my two-way radio, on my other YouTube channel, I talked to Hawaii a lot. And I talked to a guy on Kona, Big Island, yesterday. I talked to him a few times. He was in his mobile on the Big Island. And you can see the video, one of the videos I shot on Jungle Josie Video Gates. The Jubea died, Jane. It froze. I got videos of it. And like I say, it wasn't very big. And the one at Grace Point froze. Can you believe it? It's dead. It is done. After a long time in the ground, it wiped it out. What a drag. I think that palm was weakened from the last gardener that was there, the palm butcher that kept chopping all the fronds off. Anyway, the way she goes, that's the way she grows, and that's the way she dies. So beside our Jubea, the one that died, the small one I had, I have two Trachycarpus princeps. Guessing it was, I don't know, maybe, I'm not too sure. But anyway, beside our Jubea, the dead Jubea stump, I have two Trachycarpus princeps. So they are growing well. They were not damaged by the winter, and we'll see how they do long term. I've been watering them, and they seem to be growing okay. There's no more root competition with the Jubea because the Jubea is dead. I heard Jubea doesn't do well close. It's right by the sea too. Yeah, that one at Grace Point is 20 feet, 20 feet from the sea. I'm going to say 20 feet from the ocean, something like that. So maybe it has something to do with it, Jane. You might be right. Anyway, if we plan a trip to Waikiki, I know she's looking at Maui, but I says, let's go to Waikiki for a week. And I'd love to visit you up in Kapahulu. If we make it to Waikiki, I will definitely let you know, Jane. And we will visit you. We'll say hi to you. A gallon, 95 octane petrol equivalent, $10. Yeah, so it's a gallon, 95, $10 a gallon. We're $10. Looks like 10 feet close to the sea. Yeah, too close to the sea, Jane. You may be right. So that was the end of the Jubea that was planted in 1999. What a shame. That's the way she grows. Like I say, that's the way she dies. Everything else at Grace Point did good. Self-seeded bottle brushes all over the place. Trachycarpus palms look good. Camarops palms look good. All the eucalyptus trees that they didn't cut down are doing fine. Yesterday, I was in town and I went through this neighborhood, and you should see the huge eucalyptus cordata, heartleaf silver gum. I sold them to the gardener about 2002, 2001, 2002. I'm thinking maybe 2001. They were small 1-gallon plants, and one of them is just absolutely massive. It's the biggest, bushiest eucalyptus cordata I've ever seen. So I'm going to have to go shoot a video of it. Maybe tomorrow. When I go to town, I will shoot a video of that eucalyptus cordata. There's 2 or 3 big ones at the entrance of the roadway, and there's lots of palm trees in there too. So it has due to salt tolerance. Interesting. So the Camarops palms, there's some growing right by the sea, Jane, and they do okay. Trachycarpus palms do okay. There's Cordyline growing by the sea. They do okay, but Jubea chilensis, not too happy by the sea. Eh? So must have been the wind bringing up the salt water, maybe accumulating in the soil over the years. I don't know. Maybe it weakened it. I'm not too sure, but it is toast. Rest in peace. Jubea chilensis. Kahu, who's here? Who's here? Go get him. There goes the guard dog. There goes Kahu. Somebody's here. Yeah, it's a shame to see such an older Jubea a die, right? They are pretty slow growing palms, and they're expensive too. Every time I online order drop, they're sold out. I bought. Who is here? Who is coming in from behind me? That is Krista. Hi, Krista. How's it going? Wendy's at Tina's. We're gonna do smoky dogs or something for dinner, something like that. The Jubei is doing fine. Oh yeah, I want to see that one. If I go back to Waikiki, I'm gonna go see that one for sure. Every time I try online order a CIDB, they're sold out. I bought cheap frozen salmon. Every time I plant tree, I chuck pea. Oh, cool, good idea. Yeah, they like that. That's fish fertilizer. Do you have passion flowers? Yes, we have a couple of them in the garden, but they're kind of stressed out because I don't really look after them. There's one down there, one up there. Those ones kind of dried out, but yeah, we do have passion vine, Passiflora cerulean. We have a couple of them. They're easy to grow, very easy. There's like 400 species of passion vine, and there are some pretty hardy ones too, right? But fish fertilizer is good for your palm trees. They absolutely love that. Even when we catch salmon here, I cut off the head and throw the head in with the plants, right? Buried deep enough so the raccoons don't dig it up. Yep, there's Jubea. Oh yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Jubea chilensis in Scotland. Scotland's very mild. 54 degrees north latitude. You're going to see lots of palm trees and beyond. Like I said, Logan Botanical Gardens. I have a postcard from there, and there's huge tree ferns and cordylines on that postcard. When my friend who lives there now moved there from Salt Spring to Aberdeen, Scotland, way up there, there's palms where she is, by the way. I remember when she went there in 98, she says, anything I can get you? I said, just send me a postcard with palm trees on it. So actually her daughter sent my oldest son a postcard. They were younger then, with palm trees on it. I still have the postcard, and it's from Logan Botanical Gardens. Lots of palm trees there. And Scotland's very mild. Wendy has been to Scotland. And I don't know if she was looking for palm trees back then, but she loved Scotland. Me, never been to Europe. Never been to Europe yet. Maybe one of these days. Now things have opened up in Canada. We can actually travel. I'm free. I can actually travel to Maui. It's just affording to go to Maui now. It's very expensive. You got to remember the US dollar is worth way more than the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar is not worth that much money, man. It's 30, I think it's 30 cents on the dollar or 35 cents on the dollar. So one Canadian dollar, I have to add another 35 cents if I buy an American dollar. So 100 US cost me 135 Canadian. So when you buy $1,000 American, it's going to be another $350 on top of it. And when you go to Maui, it's good to bring about $3,000 spending money, right? So it's expensive, right? I got to bring another $1,000. It cost me Canadian to get that money. So thank God a lot of people pay Wendy at the market in US funds. So, you got to save some up for Maui, or sometimes you get guests. We have a lot of guests here at our accommodations from the US. They will pay in US funds. So you got to keep that money for Maui trips. Sorry, I remember when it was worth more a few years ago. Yeah, it was. It was. When I was in Maui several years ago, the Canadian dollar booked it up to $1.10, but it didn't do me any good. I was already on Maui. Wish I go shopping there. You wish you could go shopping on Maui? I try not to shop too much there. It's expensive. You know what I mean? We stay low key. We get the condo, and I usually stay in the same condo every year. But the last couple of times, we stayed in a different condo, which was really nice, in the same complex. But she's talked to the lady there, and very nice Hawaiian lady. She owns 3 condos where we stay, and the one we might get might be on the second floor if she does book it. Anyway, she's seriously looking at Maui because Wendy is missing Maui. Maybe? No, in Canada. Oh, you wish you could go shopping in Canada. Oh yeah, well, if you're American, your dollar's going to go a lot more. You could get a lot of bang for your buck in Canada. Go to Costco. You can buy a lot of groceries with your American dollar. I live in a camper and have awesome. You're smart. You know what? There's nothing wrong living in a camper. Living in a trailer, living in a camper, good for you. To me, the most important thing, a roof over your head, that's good. You got a roof over your head and having a good garden. So myself, I don't need a big house. I could live in a tiny house. I could live in a motorhome. I could live in a camper, 5th wheel, and have an amazing garden around me. That's what makes me happy. I see a lot of people living in massive houses, 2 people, big waste of space, waste of energy, and a waste of time cleaning it. We don't have any mandates here and haven't for a while. Maybe you have to skip away when you do trip. Yeah, one of these days, but Europe's very expensive too. But if I went to Europe, I'd have to go to Italy because that's where I have relatives. and I'd have to see my relatives in Italy too. But yeah, we love Maui. The reason we love Maui, we were married on Maui, and it's just one of our favorite places. It always draws me back. But yeah, I have to get to Europe one day too, because there's lots to see and do in Europe, no doubt. Yeah. So nothing wrong with living in a camper. That's a cool thing. You know what? You are a low impact person on the environment. That's what you are. And you have a garden. That's super cool. And like me, um, this house isn't really that, but it does have an accommodation in it. And then we have another accommodation here too. And I would say if you had a lot of kids, and I had 3 kids, I raised 3 kids in this house, and it was good. It was the perfect size house for raising 3 kids. All my kids grew up here, born and raised, and grew up here, and now they're over on the Big Island. They're over on Vancouver Island, various locations on Vancouver Island, right? When you grow up on Salt Spring Island, you leave Salt Spring Island and you go somewhere else. More opportunities. The problem living on a small island, there are less opportunities. Do they have palms? My ex-wife has palms. I don't think my kids have palms, but my ex-wife lives over on the Big Island too. And I did notice a palm tree in her yard when we went to visit last time. There was a palm tree in the front yard, and she does have eucalyptus too. She's just kind of this way from our island. So she's in Chemainus, which is like very close to Salt Spring Island across the water, not that far away. We ride our bikes to Chemainus. We take the ferry from Salt Spring to Crofton, and it's about a 25-minute bike ride, 30-minute bike ride to Chemainus. It's quite nice. But there's lots of palm trees in her town. Her town is full of palm trees all over the place and eucalyptus trees. Absolutely beautiful. I have videos. You can see the videos. Just punch in palm trees in Chemainus or in Vancouver Island. You will see them. There's so many beautiful palm trees where she lives. Big ones too, and old ones. Big ones and old ones. And it's a seaside town, right? So it's pretty mild there in the wintertime. What did I see in Chemainus? I saw Cordyline. I actually saw one at Genoa Bay the other day too. But my kids, they grew up with palm trees, so they're really not into them. They appreciate them. They know they exist because they were born and raised with palm trees around them. So it's really nothing for them. It's not exciting to have a palm tree because we always had palm trees around. Even when they're little babies, they're playing under the palm trees, right? So, but, maybe one day when they get out, they rent right now. They all rent at different areas on the island. So, I mean, I guess they could have one in a pot, but they don't plant anything in the ground. When you rent, most of the time you don't plant things in the ground, unless you want a vegetable garden. Because when you rent, only the landlord benefits from it, right? So, but yeah, so I hope everybody's doing good out there. I hope you're enjoying the weather. I hope you're having good weather. It's 71.5 degrees Fahrenheit here today, and we are closing in on October. I don't want to trigger you, but Justin isn't off. I don't want to trigger you, but Justin is. Justin is a complete, you know what he is? I don't even want to say it. I can't stand the guy. I hate his guts. I've never hated anybody more. I know that's negative energy, but I don't like the guy. The guy needs to go to prison, really, for his crimes against humanity. He is a dictator and a traitor, and he should be charged with treason. That's how I feel about him, and a lot of people do. Yeah, so but I won't get into that. I'll talk about palms today because it gets me really angry, even when I see that guy's ugly face talking. I don't like him. I can't stand him, and I can't stand what he stands. He's a communist dick. That's what he is. I'm about freedom. Oh, another trip I'd like to do too with Wendy is go down the Oregon coast. Yeah, well, I like the Americans too. And I have a lot of American friends, and I like the way they think, especially in certain states like Montana, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arkansas, South Dakota, Arizona. I don't really like the way they think in Washington, Oregon, and California because they think the same way a lot of British Columbians do. There's still people out there wearing face diapers. I went to the recycle depot today and there's people outside. I mean, there's no mask mandates. There's no mandates of any kind here. They're all gone, right? They're gone, right? Scamdemic is done now, right? And there's still people that wear these face diapers because they're frightened to death that they might catch something, but yet these people have the special medicine in them, and I don't understand what they're afraid of. If that stuff works, what are you wearing a mask for? That kind of reminds me of the West Coast. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Washington, Oregon, California, same thing, man. But like I say, I'm into freedom of choice. If somebody wants to wear a mask, that's up to them. And if people want to follow all the unlawful mandates, they can do that. I don't. I'm one that kind of bends things a little bit. I guess I'm more of a rebel. I'm more of a rebel. And when everybody goes here, I kind of go that way. That's the way I do it. Kind of similar to me. There's no many Cordylines. Australis just doesn't. Yeah, there's lots of Cordylines where you are. And most of them got wiped out here on the inner coast, but there's big ones on the west coast of Canada. There are trees all over Tofino, Ucluelet. There's some in Port Renfrew. And that's where you see the biggest and oldest ones because the climate out there is zone 9 like all the time, right? So I'd love to go out and visit my buddy and see his date palm. I'd like to see how Brian's Phoenix is doing. Like I say, it's a few degrees milder out there than in the winter than here on the Gulf Islands. So they can get away with more and bigger Cordylines. Here, there are some big ones on Salt Spring Island, and actually there's a garden I have to visit at some point. I haven't had time and see how the Cordylines are doing there because they are tree size. Anyways, I want my coconut. 3 feet less. All the Cordies in Washington are 3 feet tall or less. No red ones. No red ones. Red Star Cordyline. Red Star Cordyline are generally a little bit less cold tolerant, and they usually get whacked back first if there's a bad freeze. Then the Cordyline. You know what else is more tender is the Cordyline indivisia. Cordyline indivisia with the big wide leaves on them. Those are more tender. The hardiest, of course, are Cordyline australis, the New Zealand cabbage tree. And I rate those here around 18 degrees Fahrenheit because ours were killed at around 18 degrees Fahrenheit. 17.5 it got to here, but I've seen them freeze out at about 18 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's what I rate them at. And they always come back from the roots. Ours are all sprouting back everywhere. They come back like weeds, like a perennial, right? But I like Cordylines, and they're a nice drought tolerant, and I'm going to say somewhat cold tolerant plant. I don't know if I'm long term. They're kind of a short term, long term plant because I've seen them last, 20 years and then they get cut back. So the big one at Port of Sydney on Vancouver Island, big Cordyline, massive Cordyline. It actually, the top crown of it froze back, but it's sprouting out all over this big trunk. So it did kind of make it. It half kind of made it. I've seen some interesting things for sale this year, such as Norfolk Island pines, jade plants. Oh, there's Norfolk Island pines on the Scilly Isles, and there's also Norfolk Island pines in Brookings, Oregon. There's lots of Norfolk Island pines because I've actually seen them. I remember driving down this one road and it's in front of like a modular home, and the guy had a couple of beautiful Araucaria heterophylla. I think that's what it is. My buddy in Tofino has one up against his house for 15 years now. 1 year, 20-foot CIDP, 26-inch. Cypress for sale. Wow. Yeah, I would never buy that here because it will never work. So here I'm only going to stick with palms that work. Like I say, at my age, I don't want to be fussing over protecting things. I don't mind putting a bucket over that CIDP. I really don't mind putting the nursery bucket over the CIDP. I put the cold frame Lexans on my palms, seedlings out there. I kick a few leaves around the nursery, and that's about it. Everything else is kind of like survival of the fittest. I was kind of unhappy about the cactus patch last year. A branch fell on it and busted some up. So I might have to put the Lexan over top of it again. I usually had a protective Lexan cover. I put a couple of tables on it and put some Lexan over top because there's big trees above it. And if we get a snowfall, sometimes those branches break and they'll drop on the cactus patch and smush some of the cactus. So I think this year I might end up putting the tables with the Lexan over top of it for protective shield, right? But if I lived in a good enough climate, I would plant a nice size CIDP in the ground. And we actually have some nice ones in pots. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we have 6 in pots. We have 6 in pots. And they're getting good. They got nice sized trunks on them. I'll do a video of them maybe in a couple of weeks. And you can see that I grew them all from seed. I don't remember exactly where I got the seed from, but they're pretty fast growers. I think they're getting root bound. I do water them every day. They tend to dry out really fast in this warm weather. It's extremely dry here. It's been extremely warm and extremely dry. Forest fire rating is high, extreme, not high, it's extreme. We have not had any measurable precipitation in months, and it's downright It's downright scary, man. It's scary dry. And it's non-stop watering the garden, which kind of sucks. I think all the people who have tried Cypress. Wow, cool. And they probably grow in London too. Then you should try one in London, because, like I say, they are in Brookings, Oregon. But Brookings, Oregon, is on the extreme southwest coast of Oregon. You're not that far from the Northern California border. 100% moderated or regulated by the Pacific Ocean. Their climate is very oceanic, right? And I mean, like I say, there's huge date palms everywhere. Washingtonias. I've seen Cypress. I've seen Livistona. You name it, it grows in Brookings. I would live in Brookings, Oregon in a heartbeat. If I could live anywhere on the coastal United States on the West Coast, it would probably be Brookings, only because not everybody knows palm trees grow in Brookings, and I could create the most amazing jungle-like garden that would just spin people's heads around, right? That's the type of garden I want. I've got a 13-foot one out. You got a 13-foot Cypress. Cool. Wow. And do you protect it in the wintertime? Does it get protected in the winter, the queen palm? The only one I have is the Butia Cross Cypress. And it's doing okay, but you got to remember it's growing in very rocky soil. And I'm sure, when I dug the hole, I put a bit of dirt in there, but I should have maybe dug more of a $10 hole for it. That's pretty big, 13-foot one. No protection. Cool. So they're tough. And you are in London, right? If I remember, you're in London. So your minimum temperatures don't get that cold. I'm trying an antiperspirant, antidesiccant, pine sap based. It's Portland, and they have Queens. I want one. You'll box it in. Well, it is possible. I mean, you can do it. They plant them as annuals along the beach in places, some of those lake beaches in southern Ontario, but I think they just let them freeze. They get these big palms, plant them as annuals. It's a shame. To me, it's a total waste of a palm tree. But anyway, you could box it in. Put some good heat with it, though, because every so often, we get those ugly winters. I think on a regular winter, you'd be okay with just minimal heat. But if you get a really good cold snap, you probably want a little bit more heat with it. I got to move this patio umbrella. The sun is just about under that umbrella, and it's going to really blind me. Let's just see. Maybe I'll go that way. See, the sun's hitting my shirt now. It's coming under the patio umbrella. That's not good. It's going to be blasting in my. Well, it is kind of blasting in my eyes. It's hard for me to see the screen right now. I'm trying so antiperspirant or anti-transparent, or antidesiccant. Yeah, I'll just box with leaves. No heat. Wow, that's cool. Well, give her a shot. You don't know until you try. I have tried queen palm. I had a bigger one at one time here, and I think it was when I first moved here. It was in probably a 15-gallon pot. Maybe I put it into a 15-gallon pot. I think it was in a 5-gallon pot, and I put 15-gallon pot, and it froze the winter. Sounds like Wendy's home. I think my gal pal has arrived. We're having smoky dogs for dinner. She said something like chili dogs, or I think they're chili dogs, or smoky dogs with beans. Tigers are fussy, though. They need tons of water and fertilizer. Yeah, they wouldn't be happy here because the soil here is very rocky, extremely dry in the summertime. You got to remember, I had a guy in my garden the other day, and he says, Joe, I was working up just around the corner from here, and the guy's yard was full of native cactus. Goes right down to the beach. Dogwood Lane, just north of here on the west side. It's like a 1-minute drive from here. There's lots of cactus, lots of native cactus. There's lots of native cactus in various areas of our island, but there's lots just down the road from us here. So it shows you how dry it can be here on the Gulf Islands. It's prickly pear. Opuntia fragilis, native cactus. I hear somebody coming through the gate. Anyway, and that's the thing we don't have is a ton of water here because we're on a well, so we have to really watch our watering, right? Who goes there? If you bore, make sure it goes. Ventilation. Who goes there? It's Wendy. Hello, Wendy. There's my beautiful wife. There she is. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Somebody says we should plant it. Let's see, look nice. Look at this palm trees on her shirt.
No.
To me, they're palm
They're
trees.
palm trees.
So this Cal's in London. He says we should plan a trip to Europe, but Wendy's always drawn to Maui.
Europe.
Wendy's drawn to
Well,
Maui.
we might not be able to go to Maui because the restrictions.
Is there restrictions there?
U.S. government.
Oh, the U.S. government still has restrictions. Is that true? Because I got U.S. people in here. Hey, RD, is there still restrictions in the U.S. like travel restrictions? If you box in and make sure you're good. So I want to know if there's travel restrictions in the States. Maybe we can't go to Maui because we can't abide by any restrictions.
No.
I have no clue. Oh, you have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Biden has vaccine mandate for travel. Does he really?
Yeah.
That douche.
Yeah.
I hate that
We wouldn't
goofball.
be able to go
Nope.
unless
So we
they-
can't go.
Well, unless it's a year away.
Yeah, it's a year away, but we can't go.
More than a year away.
Yeah, hopefully they'll drop it.
but-
So we still got them in place. So you know what? There's no use in booking anything.
Nope.
Unbelievable. He still got them. So our dictator
Oh.
actually dropped them. Our dictator dropped them, and the dictator in the States still has them. That's actually shocking.
Our dictators.
I thought we had the worst dictator. So our evil dictator is
do.
maybe just a little bit better than your evil dictator. And I can't stand them both. I can't believe it. He's got mandates. Come on, man. It's all done with. We're done with this crap, right? We're done with it. Well, Wendy and I never complied to any of the bull crap anyway. So remember, Wendy's high risk, bad asthma. She got the stuff. Kicked the crap out of her for 4 or 5 days. She survived it. 62 years old, asthma. I'm 58. And my immune system's locked and loaded. I'm going to tell you something. I went and visited my friend a couple of weeks ago. He had that Chinese flu. And I already had planned to stay there. And he says, Joe, you sure you want to stay here? Because I keep testing positive. He caught it on a cruise ship where everybody's jabbed. I said, yeah, I'll come over. I'm not afraid because I got a good immune system. Never caught it. Never caught stuff from him at all. He's sneezing and coughing the whole time, sick with it. Never bothered me in the least bit, man. It's all a bunch of crap. Go to Florida. Yeah, Florida be good, but they're both demons. Yep, they are both demons. Yeah, I like Florida, but I like Hawaii better. I like Hawaii way better than Florida. Florida, to me, is just too freaking flat. And I like mountains. And I've been to Miami. I stayed at the Hyatt Regency Miami with my many moons ago, February 96. Lots of nice palms there. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate Florida. I like the way they think down there because they think like me, right? That's a free state, and they think the same as we do.
I went out home.
There she goes. Through the jungle. So anyway, Princess Zoe, 97. Cool. How's it going, Princess Zoe? Yeah, so when that dictator of the U.S. drops those mandates, I will travel to Maui because I can't go to the States because I don't have the special medicine in me. That's a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? I'm just so sick of this nonsense. I've just been sick of it right from the start. Just it angers me that so many people have bought into the bull crap. Man, oh man. Sometimes it's good to be a rebel. And I am a rebel. And proud of it. Hey, Kahu. Come here, Kahu. I got some bacon fat for you. Bacon crisp. Yep, so downtown Vancouver here. Cool, I was in Vancouver. You know what? 2 weeks ago, I was in Vancouver. I rode from Trout Lake all the way, rode my friend's bike, all the way down to Stanley Park and down around through Beach Avenue and back. Oh, I know, it's terrible, the limitations. I'm with you, Princess Joey. Princess Zoe. They used to call me Joey when I was younger. I'm Joe now. But you know what? It's crap. It's crimes against humanity. It's a nice ride. So Trout Lake, my 3 buddies were on their e-bikes. I used my friend's Rocky Mountain 27-speed mountain bike and rode all the way down around the seawall. And I got some good videos. I shot some videos of Beach Avenue. I love the palm trees down there. It's one of my favorite places in Vancouver, Sunset Beach and Beach Avenue along English Bay. So many palm trees. Yeah, it is and the water and the weather was perfect too. Who's your version of vice president? I bet ours. We don't have a vice president. We don't have that here in Canada. We just have the prime minister. I can't even call him a prime minister. We have the prime minister. There is nobody like that. The prime minister running the show. So we don't have a vice president. We just have the idiot running the show. He's the puppet of, I call him a muppet of Klaus Schwab. But we got to get rid of him. He's got to go. Apparently they're talking about holding an election in 2023. Oh, God, I pray to God that they hold an election and get rid of this guy. He's destroying the place and making it communist by the day. Yeah, we don't have one. Anyway, Princess Zoe, what part of Vancouver are you in? I was at my aunt's 100th birthday, and she lives in South Vancouver by Oak Ridge. Crime Minister, yeah, as a puppet. Yeah, he's a puppet. I say a muppet. Klaus Schwab has his hand so far up Justin Castro's hiney, it's not even funny, controlling every move he makes. Your test needed to come here. Yeah, the U.S. needs to remove. I'm surprised that the U.S. did not remove theirs, man. You know, it's unbelievable. Biden's already tested positive twice now, I think, and so is Justin Castro. Unbelievable, man. It's just what a frickin' joke. This sun is getting to me here, right in my eyes. Say South Kona, Chinatown. Oh, I love it there. Commercial Drive. You know where I was the other day? 2 weeks ago, I went down to Nanaimo and Charles to what's that meat store called? There's a butcher shop there. Columbia Butcher Shop. Oh, they got good meat in there. It's Italian. I went to my aunt's 100th birthday. She's Italian, and there was 50 people at my aunt's party. Unfortunately, Wendy couldn't come because she was working. Did you bring a pizza? Oh, I thought that was a pizza. Oh, it looked like a pizza box. Anyway, yeah, so hello, first name, last name. Good to see you in there. Anyone can walk across the, but you Canadians are suspects, I guess. Yeah, no kidding, ARD. I'm with you. I know what you mean. Let all the illegal people in. Needed. Yeah, so we need to go to England then. There's no mandates there. Strathcona, beautiful. I love Chinatown. You know, back in the day, I used to go to Chinatown and buy firecrackers. Back in the late 70s, I'd go down there. I mean, I had firecrackers all through the 70s, but firecrackers became illegal here in around 1975, 74. And I would go down to Chinatown and I'd buy my firecrackers from cool Chinese people. And I'd be walking down the street because I was a teenager in 79. I was 15. They knew what I was there for. And they said, hey, you guys want to buy some firecrackers? I says, yeah, we're here to buy firecrackers. So I'd meet the guy in the back alley, and it'd be about 20 minutes. I'd meet him in a back alley, and he had me a brick of firecrackers. I still have some of those things. Can you believe it? I love firecrackers. Anyone can walk across. It's true.